Antonio Pierce has been fired as the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, and the rumors are already heating up for him to return to the Giants, but this time as their defensive coordinator. We're going to talk about that in a second, but first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to put out multiple videos every single day this offseason for free on the latest news and rumors that surround the New York Football Giants. So if that's what you're looking for, subscribe to the channel. And I also want to say thank you to the real ones. We just crossed over 63,000 subscribers, an amazing achievement, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of you. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Yesterday, the Las Vegas Raiders decided to part ways from Antonio Pierce. He is no longer their head coach, and the rumors about him returning to the Giants as their defensive coordinator are heating up. There was rumors back in 2024, which we'll get to on today's show, and then we'll talk about some other DC candidates. But we always know, once a Giant, always a Giant, and Antonio Pierce is one of the best Giants of my lifetime. He spent time there from 2005 to 2009. He was the captain of the defense that hoisted the Lombardi Trophy, where they sent the 18-0 Patriots home, was a Super Bowl champion, five-time team captain, a Pro Bowler with over 490 tackles, 30 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and 6 forced fumbles. He was an awesome player. And he was an awesome leader, and he was someone that people looked up to. But the question is, should he come back as the Giants' defensive coordinator? You look at where he's been as a coach since he decided to hang up the cleats. He got started coaching at Long Beach Poly High School in California from 2014 to 2007. Then he moved on to Arizona State. And from 2018 to 2019, he was a linebacker coach and the recruiting coordinator. In 2020, he got upgraded to be the associate head coach, co-defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, and recruiting coordinator. 2021, associate head coach, full-time defensive coordinator, and remained at a recruiting coordinator. Then he went on to the National Football League, joined the Las Vegas Raiders, was their linebacker coach for 1 year, became the interim in 2023 after the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels, and this past year, he was the head coach of the Raiders. When he was the defensive coordinator or co-defensive coordinator for Arizona State, they were pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. In 2020, they allowed just 23.2 points per game. 2021, 20.8 points per game. Top 32 in the country, top 22 in the country. So when he had a say-so on that side of the ball when it came to what we're going to run, how we're going to deploy a defense, and the mentality and the identity when we want to have, they were a fast, physical defense that was able to hold offenses to non-explosive ball games. And that is why people think he could be a defensive coordinator in this league. I want to go back, though, to January 10th of 2024 when Paul Schwartz, who has covered the National Football League and the Giants for a really long time, put out an article, reminder, 2024. Antonio Pierce may be a Giants defensive coordinator candidate if he doesn't get a bigger job. A couple days later, he ended up being hired full-time as the Raiders head coach. The New York Post also mentioned that Antonio Pierce maintains a strong relationship with the New York Giants, and he is well respected in the building. That was also written in 2024. And then Hondo Carpenter, who covers the Las Vegas Raiders in 2024 of January, said, told by a member of the New York Giant organization moments ago, if Antonio Pierce is not hired as the head coach of the Raiders, he would be a top target for our defensive coordinator job. So you got Hondo Carpenter, Raiders beat reporter, and longtime Giants beat reporter just 12 months ago, linking Pierce to the Giants as their DC. We know what happened. Unfortunately, it became Shane Bowen's job. Brian Daboll, though, had nice things to say about Antonio Pierce when the Giants played them last year and the Raiders waxed them. Brian Daboll said, I got a lot of respect for AP. I've built a friendship with him along the way the last few years. So beat reporters and the coach at least seemed to like him a little bit. Something that the organization did not like was the Giants' defense this past year. John Mara on Black Monday saying this, quite frankly, I didn't think our defense played very well this year at all. I know that when you have an offense that performs like that, you're putting more pressure on your defense. But we need to make improvements there. I'm tired of watching teams go up and down the field on us. Not exactly the strongest endorsement that could be issued from an owner to a defense, but most importantly, Shane Bowen, the head honcho on that side of the ball, the defensive coordinator for the Giants. So I don't know if the Giants are going to fire Shane Bowen. Maybe Mara's talking about just adding a lot more talent to that side of the ball, but it did sound like he wants major changes on the defensive side, and maybe it could be AP. What do you think? Should the Giants hire Antonio Pierce, get him back in the building, wearing that Giants blue, this time, though, as the defensive coordinator? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to say this. The defensive coordinator cycle this offseason is extremely strong. Much stronger than when we saw last year where Shane Bowen was looked at as a top 5 candidate, and he was like the 4th Giants favorite to get the job, ended up doing so for a lot of other reasons that we have talked about plenty at length on this channel. This is why I'm not interested, though, in Antonio Pierce as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Not because I don't think he'd be a good DC, not because I don't want to bring a former Giant great into the building. There are 5 available defensive coordinators who have been great at that job in the NFL before. I think the Giants need to travel down that path. I'll tell you who those guys are and more in a second. First, though, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Game Time. If you're looking to go to the NFL playoffs, want to go to an NBA game, a concert, or a theater event, you're going to get the best seats for the lowest price with our proud sponsor, Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use that promo code ChatSports, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Prices drop as the events get closer, and that's really what Game Time specializes in. Low price, last minute tickets. Also, the app is super user-friendly. Get to see your sea view in the app. Get to access your tickets from your phone, so it's easy to get into the stadium, and it's easy to resell your tickets as well if you no longer want to go to the event. The app will also alert you via a flash deal when tickets that you've looked at are going for sale on the best price. So download the app, check them out, and use these features, all-in pricing and game time picks. That way you lock yourself in to getting the best seats for the lowest price guaranteed. So if you're looking to buy tickets to any sort of event coming up, you're going to want to do it with Game Time. It's the only app that I use. So download it, create an account, and use that promo code ChatSports and get $20 off first purchase where terms do apply. What time is it? It is game time. When it comes to Antonio Pierce and the other 5 defensive coordinators that we are about to talk about, I just think there are better options out there for the New York Giants. I wouldn't mind them giving an interview to Pierce, and if he is Brian Dable blown away by that interview process from AP, then sure, you can make him the job give him the job if you think he's the best guy for the job. But I think there's a lot better candidates. And let's start with Robert Saleh, the former head coach for the New York Jets and the star defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. When he was the DC for the Niners, they were ranked as one of the top defenses year after year in the NFL. That's why he got that job as the Jets head man. And when he was with the Jets, they were a great defense. And then when he left, the Jets became not a great defense. I would love to have Saleh as this team's defensive coordinator. Another guy to monitor is Lou Anarumo, the former DC of the Cincinnati Bengals, was fired just yesterday. He was actually interviewed for the Giants head coaching spot back in 2022, where the Giants chose to hire Brian Dable. He also spent time with the Giants back in 2018. He's a New York guy, Staten Island native, has some ties to the organization, and he was really one of the first guys to figure out Patrick Mahomes. And when the Bengals were humming, I know their defense stunk this year. I'm going to blame that more so on the personnel than the coaching. They were really strong on the defensive side of the ball. I love Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator hire for the New York Giants. He has had a lot of success in the National Football League. He was there 1 year in Denver, then became the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then when the Saints could not get a stop on defense, when it was Sean Payton and Drew Brees, what did they do? They employed Dennis Allen as their defensive coordinator, and they became a tough, fast, physical, in-your-face, nasty defense. Dennis Allen is one of my top defensive coordinator candidates. Matt Eberflus is someone that is also on my short list, was the head coach for the Bears this past year, didn't work out, was there the prior year as well, but he was the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts just a couple years ago with Bobby Okereke when they were looked at as one of the best teams in the league on that side of the rock. This guy is an extremely smart DC with a lot of experience. He also spent time in Cleveland with Brian Dable. They were both on the Cleveland Browns coaching staff back in the early 2010s. I don't hate the idea of that at all. And what about Patrick Graham, a guy that's been the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants? I know some people don't love Patrick Graham as a candidate due to the bend but don't break defense and what we just went through for Shane Bowen, but he was really good for the Giants, and he really upped his profile and his stock with the Raiders the past couple of years. It's really tough for me, I guess you could say, to pass on any of these 5 guys for Antonio Pierce. I think all these guys are more qualified. I think they are all better, and they have proved it. Every single one of these guys has been a defensive coordinator for a top defense in the league before. That's the Giants have to get back to. That's their DNA, dominating on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying AP wouldn't be a good DC. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve an interview. I'm not saying he's never going to be a DC in the NFL. And I'm not just saying because he's never been a DC, he shouldn't. Everyone has to get that opportunity before they could say they've done it. But there's just better candidates available. And with where the Giants are at right now, with Joe Shane returning on the hot seat, Brian Dable returning on the hot seat, reports coming out from Mike Garafolo that it's playoffs or bust. And John Mara said, I got to be feeling a lot better this time next year to keep these guys. I want a guy that can hit the ground running and has been there and done that. And all 5 of those guys have done it. Most importantly, though, you got to move on from Shane Bowen. John Mara said that the defense was a joke this year. At one point through like week 9 of the season, you led the NFL in sacks with like 30 sacks. You finished with less than 50. And you, in the last 6-7 weeks, didn't really get after the passer whatsoever. You didn't force turnovers. You weren't great on getting off the field on 3rd down. And Shane Bowen's calling card was getting stops inside the red zone. He didn't do that. He was one of the last choices the Giants wanted last year, and he became the guy. So move on and get someone in a very talented crop of defensive coordinators. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Big Blue.